right, y'all. So I'm here with Caleb and David. At the time of us recording this, we have this situation going on with J. Cole and No Name. J. Cole put out a new song, and the song is called Snow on the Bluff.
So what happened is in the sequence of like everything that's going on is basically late May. Obviously there's been a lot of stuff going on with Black people and racism and police brutality, and No Name put out this tweet. She said, "Poor Black folks all over the country are putting their bodies on the line in protest for our collective safety, and y'all favorite top-selling rappers not even willing to put a tweet up. Niggas' whole discographies be about Black plight, and they nowhere to be found." So people are speculating that J. Cole made a song called Snow on the Bluff in response to this. He has not clarified whether or not this is actually about her, but he has recognized that people think that it's about her. And then he went on to speak about it in the song, and he clarified afterwards that he stands by everything that he said, and he still wants people to follow her, and he still wants people to recognize the work that she's doing, and he left it at that. The rest is for us to speculate and to converse about. And that's what we're going to expand on today. Go ahead, Caleb.
Wow, that was great.
All right.
Nice.
That was good. So my opinions on, what do you want me to start with? Just the whole situation or just the song itself?
Yo, to be honest, whatever you sent in the group chat, that voice text, just like hit that.
Okay. So basically my opinion on the song is, you see, because J. Cole didn't really tell us, so we're leaving it up to interpretation, and it's music, so it's an art form. It's always up for interpretation. And what I'm thinking is, because No Name was directing that tweet at specifically rappers whose discographies and what they're basically the main topics that they hit on their songs about Black struggle and about, you know, the shit that people go through in the hood and stuff like that. And you have this whole like collection of artwork targeting this one specific social issue. And then when it comes time to actually, you know, when it comes time for action and it comes time to actually show, you know, what you're about, you're nowhere to be found. And the only two rappers I think of off the top of the head when she puts that out is J. Cole and Kendrick, two of which aren't really heavy on social media, you already know, right? So J. Cole felt like, you know, he was being attacked, as he said in the song. And I think the beginning of the song, he's talking about, let me pull up the lyrics real quick so I can accurately convey this. I feel like in the beginning of the song, he's talking about, okay, I'm on Twitter. I'm not that smart of a guy, but you know, I'm here on Twitter and I'm seeing this girl who's way smarter, way more woke than I am. And she's saying all these things about, you know, Black struggle and about, you know, stuff like that, that like, and she's educated, like she's smart, but the way she's coming across is a bit condescending. And to me, I feel like if you want to make, you know, an impact with whatever you're saying to me, then you need to tone it down so that we can be more receptive to what you're saying. And I kind of understand the argument around, well, it shouldn't be the oppressor's job to teach the oppressed job to teach other people about, you know, the oppression. But with that being said, I don't think that anyone else would be in position to teach. Like, we can't expect white people to understand what goes on. I'm talking about like just non-racist, everyday white people understand what we go through on a daily basis unless we tell them that, because they're never going to know. They're never going to experience it. They'd never understand. In that same voice, you can't expect people to educate themselves on what's going on if they don't know what to educate themselves on. Right. Ain't no white boy who's like, damn, Billy went through like some police brutality. Let me go Google police brutality and figure out what's going on. Like, no one's going to do that. And until Billy's little friend goes up to him and says, yo, this is what's happening to me and this is what happens to people like me, no one's going to understand that. And on top of that, if Billy's friend, well, we'll say Jerome just for shits and giggles, goes up to Billy and he's angry and he's like, yo, F you, Billy. I hate people like you because you guys always do stuff like this. And Billy's like, yo, look, I never did anything. I didn't even know about this. Billy's not going to be receptive to what he's saying. And I think when it comes to Black women and Black men, there's been a lot going on. I think the problem with this song that J. Cole just dropped is he didn't read the room correctly as far as like what's going on now with just Black women and Black women going missing, sexual assault, and all the other injustices to Black women. And Black women are fed up because they're like, look, we're standing up for Black men, and we're not getting that reciprocation when it comes to injustices for Black women. And now we have this thing where the Black women who are upset at the Black men are kind of just misdirecting their anger, I feel like, at J. Cole, who comes off like, hey, look, now you're over here attacking what a Black woman is saying because you don't like the way she's saying it, but we're going through much more than that. And all J. Cole is saying is, look, if you want to be that activist and you want to educate me and my peers, you're going to have to talk to us like you want to educate us and not talk down on us. And I don't think that he said anything wrong. I think the timing of the song is bad. I don't think what he said specifically. I think there's one line I have a problem with, and I'll read it to y'all. He says, how you gonna leave when you attacking everyone the same? Niggas that really do need this shit that you saying. Instead of conveying you holier, come bring us up to speed. That's the type of shit that took like 200 years for our ancestors to be freed. I don't like that line because you're not gonna sit. That's like Kanye West-esque line. You can't blame Black people for slavery or Black oppression in general. Obviously, there's things that Black people could have did better to educate each other, but that's the one line I have a problem with. But besides that, everything he's saying I think is valid. He's no dummy. He's not above criticism, but he's just something about her tone that's bothering him because he feels like he's doing something. J. Cole's out in the street marching, but now he feels like he's being attacked. And even if you say, well, why do you feel attacked if it's not about you? There's only two rappers it could really be about. And I don't think anyone's attacking Kendrick because Kendrick's not on social media. Kendrick's not going to sit here and post stuff on Twitter. So it's like, okay, he feels attacked because he feels like he's out here doing stuff, but because he hasn't tweeted something, someone's coming at his neck. And this was his response saying, look, I understand what you're saying. I understand your struggles. And at the end of the song, he even he says, I know I'm not doing enough, but if we as a people are going to educate each other, which we should, there shouldn't be no Google is free. Just do your own research. That's stupid. If we're going to educate each other, we got to watch how we talk to each other. Like, we all know that like the tone of voice and the way you say something means just as much as what you're saying. And I think that's the whole point of the song. I think the timing is off because there's bigger problems than the tone of voice directed towards each other in the Black community. But I feel like it's important if we want to educate each other and grow. So that's my 2 cents. But yeah.
All right. So you guys know I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
Okay, let me hear it.
Caleb, you activated all my trap cards. So stay with me. I'm gonna try and
I activated your trap cards.
All of what you've been saying, right?
Okay.
So from the beginning, when we look at the context of what Noname was saying at the time, it was after a while that we had been seeing a lot of the attacks on Black men and women, especially in the media. Like, a lot of time had passed, and it was like slowly accumulating, and she was already trying to do the work in order to bring it to light and to try and educate people. And she has a book club dedicated to educating people in poorer class systems and stuff like that, right? So, and she also recognizes that she's not the only person doing things that other people are doing. However, when she looks at, you said what?
No, you froze for a little bit, but keep going.
Oh, okay. However, when she looks up at J. Cole and Kendrick, and you could even throw Drake in there for a little bit, I guess, just because of his like status. She looks at them, and she looks at the Black men who have profited off of the culture ultimately, right? And they seem to be silent during that time period at which she made that statement. So I can understand why she was calling them out, or rather, the two things that I'm going to present is accountability and urgency. I don't think she was trying to defame anybody. I do think she was trying to call them out for the purpose of holding them accountable, especially at a time of urgency, right? To me, we understand that J. Cole and Kendrick, they have been loudspeakers when it comes to Black plight. However, in events of Black plight, when she and others have been doing the actual work to try and educate people and bring things to light and expose them, she also recognized that at the time, that these top rappers have not been saying anything or have not been showing up, right? So I can understand the frustration that comes with wanting to see more effort, wanting to see more of a push from the people that you admire and look up to, and not seeing them speak up at the time that you are actually doing, like, you're stressing yourself out and you're drained and you're tired and stuff like that. It's just like, how come you're not putting in as much as we are? I can understand that. I can understand looking up to someone looking up to me and being like, hey, you're not speaking up enough about Black women right now because we're being abused in the streets and stuff like that. And a lot of Black women love your art, and you're being silent at a time that we need you to speak up for us. I can understand that. What I can understand even more is the fact that somebody else who looks up to me and cares about me wants to hold me accountable because they understand I have a larger contribution, or I can have a larger contribution to the conversation, because for some reason or another, people would be more inclined to hear what I'm saying as opposed to them. That's not even talking about the status. That's not even talking about the gender dynamics that goes into all that. We're just talking about platform, right? So you take that into consideration, as well as the contextual state of Black people in general. To me, I can understand why her tone wasn't like, I think everybody agrees that she could have had a better method of speaking, but that still misses the point. To me, from what I've been hearing, it seems more of like, okay, because of the urgency behind it, the tone doesn't matter. Obviously, if you have more tact and you try to give people medicine with the sugar, that's usually going to work. But in instances of urgency, tone is not a priority. If, God forbid, my brother is dying and we all are seeing it, and you guys have the opportunity to tell other people and get other people's attention to say, hey, this guy's brother is dying. Can we get him some help? And I feel like you're not doing enough in order to make that more known. I'm not worried about how I'm telling you. Understand the urgency behind what I'm telling you. You understand the importance of the message. And you also understand the urgency of why I'm telling you at the time that I'm telling you. I'm not worried about how I'm telling you. My main concern is to get help for the people that need it. So I can understand, like, okay, I may not have said that in the best way, but I'm not trying to be gentle right now. There's too much at stake for me to worry about your particular feelings. Yes, it may not be the best way, but that's not the point of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hold you accountable because of the urgency at hand and because you understand the gravity of the matter, right? So then when J. Cole comes out with a song to then, in response to what she's saying, he recognizes that she's smarter and that she understands more than he does. He also recognizes that, okay, I understand why you're telling me this, right? So not only does he understand why he's telling her, he probably understands the accountability factor as well. And he understands that he's not doing enough. He's not doing as much. Like, he's like, you're right, you're smarter, and I don't get it, but please don't talk to me that way. Or please rephrase it. And that still misses the point because of the urgency of the matter. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, my brother is dying. I'm telling you, like, yo, can we get help for these people? Like, these are our people at the end of the day. I need you to get out here and be loud. I need you to do more. Like, that's not okay. And you're telling me, I get that, but I don't like the way you're talking to me right now. That makes me feel a different type of way. And I'm glad that you also activated the white and black trap card, because now I'm going to relate it to the Lecrae and Lou Giglio or whatever conversation, and how Lou Giglio, he said, okay, I understand, or we understand, that white people feel pierced by the phrase white privilege. So let's rephrase it to white blessing. And to rephrase something to sort of coddle or be gentler with the people who have a higher status does not aid the issue. It does not change it. Like, you're trying to make the oppressors or people who have more power feel more comfortable when their comfortability is not the center of the issue. We have something to do. We have something to progress towards. How you feel about the matter is not of prime importance right now because of the urgency of the matter. You know what I mean? So I can understand why tone may not have been Noname's top priority, because she's trying to do more in the streets, and she understands that these other guys, these other people who have a huge platform can also do more as well. So she's not trying to coddle anybody's feelings. She's going to Black men who are actually the center or the most at risk of this. And she's saying, okay, you have a platform and you have done so in the past. I understand that you understand what's going on. So how come in these moments, when me and my people are tired and frustrated and drained, you are silent? Or it seems as though you are silent. What are you doing? How can you do more?
It seems that you're silent, because that's the thing. When you start assuming stuff like that, like how even with Kanye, Jay-Z, and Beyonce, but where's Kanye at now? He only come out when he's selling a record, and then all of a sudden we find out, Kanye donated mad money to the families. You know, Beyonce and Jay-Z, they did this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what's going on with Cole. We don't, like, from what we've seen, all we've been seeing is like pictures of him out on Twitter, like he's marching and stuff like that. Then just last night, he just dropped this song, and it's like, yo, we're gonna get to the song, but he drops that song, but then on top of that, it's like, again, like with the Kanye thing, like I feel like Cole, he does everything in steps. It's like, okay, first, let me just throw this out there. Now this is out the way, I got a bigger project that I really want us to address. You know what I mean? Like, and so I feel like we hopped, and of course, you know, I understand not everybody knows Cole that much. I mean, you know, I don't really know him, but like, y'all know I'm like a huge fan. Caleb's a huge fan. So it's like, I watch his interviews, I listen to all his music. It's like, if I know Cole, I would not be surprised if soon he's dropping something that's going to make us all be like, oh, okay. The same way that when we were talking stuff about Kanye, I mean, I wasn't, but when people were talking stuff about Kanye and now he's not doing anything during these times, then it came out like, actually, he donated mad money to the families of Ahmaud and all of them. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, you didn't, but you spoke too soon. You know what I mean? And so with Cole, again, this could just be speculation, but I feel like we just hopped too quickly to be like, yo, he's not doing like anything. When we already saw him like out in the streets, like he's marching with them. And sure, maybe that's not enough still, but like now going back to the song, what got me, because there's so many different points, and it's like, for me, I'd have to like address each point. But the first thing that I would want to address is the whole concept of tone policing. To me, this is not tone policing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, I think that tone policing is such a stupid phrase, in my opinion. Like, I personally think that is a dumb phrase. Do I think that tone is important? Of course, but I don't think that anybody's necessarily policing it. And what I see on Twitter is a whole bunch of Black women getting upset, and now they're calling Cole a misogynist. What? Like, because he put out this song where he called her a queen, and he said that she's smarter and all that he was also saying in the song was like, yo, you're really, how do I say it? He was pretty much saying like, yo, like, you really like, shoot, someone just tried to call me on FaceTime.
Can I go back? Can I quickly touch on the misogynist and clarify why they may be coming from that perspective?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Let's go devil's advocate.
So if we look at what J. Cole has been doing recently, I think you're right. He has been doing things in steps. Like I think what's interesting to note is that in the sequence, we didn't see J. Cole out in the streets until after Noname had said something. And it's only recently after he was out in the streets that we have seen him drop music about it. Because Noname said something on like May 29th or whatever. And now it's like, what's today, June 17th? It's been a couple weeks, right? So he's had time to be out in the streets and then also make the song recently, right? So that he's been stewing on this, or at least it seems, right? So there's that, but then also the interesting thing about like when he dropped the song is that he, considering the cultural context, he could have also made a song about what Black people can do, or like the like how similarly Dave Chappelle kind of like hammered the point again about what's going on at this time in history and stuff like that. And it's totally, because J. Cole has done it before, he could have also made another statement about it now to sort of like make us feel heard, make us feel empowered, make us feel, give us a new perspective, give us a new spin on things in terms of like how things are developing in society, at least in American society, at least from what I know right now. But instead, the first thing that he does is then talk about how a Black woman is trying to keep him more accountable, albeit with the same tone that is not like necessarily the best method, but still trying to keep him accountable. People are saying, why is your first, or like why are you making a whole song, which does take time to develop, about another Black woman who's really just trying to push the whole movement forward and trying to keep us all accountable and doing more? Why is your first response, or like your biggest response in a song, to her as opposed to what's going on in the larger scope of things? If you really felt a different way about it, you could have talked to her privately, or you could have made a different type of statement speaking to her about it, instead of making a song which ultimately you still profit off of Black people listening to, Black men and Black women. And it's sort of like trying to bite how they perceive it. It's sort of like trying to bite back at a woman who has less privilege than you, less power than you, less of a platform than you. And you're talking about, okay, I hear you and I understand you, but I don't like the way you're talking to me. To me and to other people, I can see how that looks like, okay, that you're trying to suppress her voice in a way because you don't like the way that she's saying it. And I've already talked about the urgency, and I've already talked about the accountability factor and the reason why she's even saying it in the first place, right? So like when you have people who are looking at it like that, and they're saying, okay, you clearly understand the reason why she's saying it and the urgency behind why she's saying it. Why are you worried about the way that she's saying it when it's so heavily important to all of us right now? I can understand why that seems misogynistic, because it's like, okay, she's trying to help, like her mind is not on your feelings. Why is your mind on your feelings instead of what she's actually saying?
My thing is, I don't even think that he's actually hurt, like his feelings are actually is hurt. I think that he felt some type of way, as in like he was like, oh wow. But I don't think that he was like actively, like I don't think that he made this song out of hurt feelings. You know what I mean? I think that it was just a side effect that he was like, dang. But then he realized the bigger issue at hand. He's like, yo, I'm above this. I know that
this meeting
you
has been
saying
upgraded
this.
to unlimited minutes.
What'd you say?
The meeting has been upgraded by host to include unlimited minutes. Sorry, my fault.
Yo, and so I feel like, dang, y'all keep on throwing off my train of thought. But I'm trying to remember.
Saying that he wasn't in his bag about like the actual song. He's now realizing like what the bigger picture is and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like his
so
song.
my thing.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So my thing, because we all listen to Cole a lot, right? And a lot of Cole songs, just in Cole's position, Cole's been making music since 2009-ish. When I started listening, 2008, earlier than that, right? And on every single project, every single mixtape, every single album, Cole has had songs dedicated to the struggle of Black men, the struggle of women, the struggle of Black women. Basically, all the social issues that we encounter, from misogynistic men to fucking racist cops, everything in between, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you've been doing that for 11 years. You're not heavy on social media. This is why I say social media is a curse sometimes. You're rarely on social media. And you hop on one day and all you see is a rapper that you've done music with, that you respect, attacking you because you haven't tweeted about the social issues going on. Like, you haven't been making music about stuff like this for 11 years, you know? Mm. And now it's just like, look, and even with all that, he's like, all right, I understand where you're coming from. And this is what I talk about, rapping from perspective. Even if he doesn't feel attacked personally, he's like, look, the way your tone of voice is, because he says it, he doesn't say me. He doesn't say talk down to me. He says talk down to us, right?
Exactly.
As a collective. He's not talking about himself. I think he's talking about, look, I understand what you're saying, and I'm receptive to your message, even though I don't like your tone. But the other people who could be in my position probably won't be. And being her and her platform, which she's used for activism, which is a form of teaching, you have to know that tone is important. And if you attack people that way, because you've put yourself in a position where you have to teach, which is what activism is, and spreading awareness is teaching people to be aware of what's going on. And now you're coming at me and other people in my position with a tone that won't be receptive, that won't be the most effective method of teaching them what's going on. And I feel like that was the point of the song. Not saying he's hurt personally, but that in order for you to teach better, that, and we don't even know if it's specifically about her, because he uses the reference of a woman, which I feel like isn't misogynistic, but because women have been have shown to be bigger activists on Twitter. So I feel like if he's rapping from perspective there, then like it has to be because, you know, he's not, if I'm trying to take the point of view of someone who's actually being active in promoting Black Lives Matter and, you know, spreading awareness on what's going on Twitter, I'm probably going to take the perspective of a woman who's been doing it because they've been smarter and been more active and more passionate than a lot of Black men have in this matter. So I understand the anger of women who have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Who've been hurt by all this stuff going on with Black men not standing up for them. And I understand how they could feel like, look, Cole, you're not reading the room because your first instinct was to drop a song about the tone of voice of a Black woman and not what's going on. But J. Cole's been dropping songs about what's going on for 11 years. And because he hasn't been active on social media, which he never is, all of a sudden he's not doing enough, or he's not doing the right thing. Even though he acknowledged he's not doing enough, because Noname has a bigger has done more than he has, and he's acknowledged that he could do more. So, what's up? Go ahead.
So
no, I'm gonna double up on that real quick.
Oh no! Wait!
No.
Hold on! Because it's two y'all and one of me. Allow me to.
I haven't even said my piece.
I understand that, but it's
keep talking. I can hear you.
Y'all. Allow me to make this more balanced and go in between y'all, so it can be like a cyclical thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's already in balance. I was just gonna throw my piece on there, which is because it's exactly what.
That's what I'm trying to say. It'll be too much, and I won't be able to tackle every single point. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna come back. So just to address, hold on, I'm trying to remember everything. I think
platform
y'all still seem to be circling around or like missing perhaps is the urgency of the matter, right? Like, I think the whole point behind what Noname is trying to get out is prison abolition and defunding the police, or like police reform, or whatever that is, right? People are dying in the streets and becoming slaves in the prison system. This is a very urgent matter because it directly affects Black men. right? So she's asking the black men in power to speak up, right? So like, I think you guys are right in most instances. Again, I agree in most instances, but it still doesn't tackle the issue of like what they need, about how she felt they need to do right now, right? Like it still doesn't tackle the fact that like black men are dying, black men are being technically enslaved in prison, and being, there's so many injustices going around right now that her main concern is to try and get as many voices as possible. Like, yes, again, there is no debate on how this could have been a better method. That's not the point, though, because I can ask you two different ways. Hey, can you please help my brother from like to stop dying or whatever is going on, right? Like, can you help him? Can you use your voice to help rescue him? Or I can be like, yo, my brother's dying. I'm gonna need you to speak up a little louder. The message is the same. The method is not the best in the latter, but the former doesn't guarantee anything either, right? So like, if you're already frustrated by looking at your surroundings and you still feel unheard yet again, despite using your platform and the work that's been going on, and you at the time of her tweeting this, we can understand that all black people had been feeling tired, drained, and frustrated. However, some black people were silent. That was the issue at hand in her tweet. She was like, yo, y'all favorites are not doing anything. They need to mobilize. They are nowhere to be found at this present moment. And there is an urgency behind why I'm saying this and the reason I'm saying this. And I'm going to shut up so Denzel can go, because I know.
So, sorry, Denzel, to cut you off. So we've so here's my thing, right? I lost my train of thought now. Okay, so we've seen, my thing is this, David, your strength in, as far as your artistic ability, I'm talking about you specifically, in order to convey a message appropriately is through artwork, right? And I feel like with, rappers like J. Cole, their strength isn't public speaking really, but like rapping and making music, right? So imagine you're in a situation where you've been speaking on a matter for your whole career, and now things are getting as bad as you predicted, or as bad as it could be. Like, you've been talking about police brutality, you've been talking about social injustice, you've been talking about the prison system your entire career, and now things are to a point where people are like, okay, we need to like do something, we need to mobilize, we need to like talk, we need to like go. And you're getting attacked because you're not speaking loud enough on the issue, or speaking in this current moment when you've been speaking about it forever. Now, imagine, like, I don't know how like these artists work, or how every artist works, but sometimes in times of high stress and in times of just this, like what times like this, when like black people are like distraught as a whole and we've been struggling, it's really hard to put out like music in art form, especially for something you've been writing about your whole career, because like you feel like, okay, I've exhausted everything. And this whole Noname thing, and how he felt like he was being not necessarily attacked, but the tone and all that gave him a different perspective to write on. And he felt like, okay, this isn't necessarily addressing the black struggle itself, and I know I could do more to address that, but this is addressing another issue which isn't really, it's very low on the food chain of issues, but it could still help. And I feel like you can't yell at every person with a big platform to speak out, because that's not everyone's strength. We've seen people like Kanye speak out and do more harm than good for black people. We've seen people like Lil Baby, the rapper, who's not really that good of a rapper, but he put out a really, really good song about what's going on now, and it like changed people's perspective. Like, yo, like, he's really talking about stuff, and it is coming from a hood nigga that didn't know any better, was talking about rapping and shooting and selling drugs and stuff, So I feel like you can tell people, look, you got to speak up, you got to do this, you got to do that, but you can't tell people how to express themselves appropriately in order to, like, it's just like the whole, you can't tell people how to protest, you can't tell people how to be outraged, you can't tell people how to riot or loot, you can't tell people how to be mad. You can't police, I'm not saying she's policing, but you can't police how to you can't police how to protest, And you can't police how to be outraged. You can't police how to speak up, because the way J. Cole speaks up, he doesn't speak out. He's action. He's in the street. He was doing stuff like this before protesting. NBA players doing different things. They'll drop a tweet, and then now they're wearing "I Can't Breathe" gear. They're trying to spread awareness that way. You can't say because you've been silent for not even a couple of weeks. It was like a week when things really hit the fan, that now it's like, all right, where you at? Because I wasn't around for the last month and a half. So I'm supposed to pop up now because something's wrong. I'm doing stuff in the background, and maybe you're not seeing it on my Twitter, but in my community, I'm making a difference. So like, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that argument, because not everybody's strength is public speaking. And I understand the urgency of the matter. Like, we got to talk about this now, but like, the most effective way for me to get this across is I'm not going to be able to do that right now. You're going to have to give me time. The most effective way I know to make a difference is to go out in my community and give to the Black people and pour money into the Black community so that we can grow as a whole. My most effective way isn't starting a book club or getting on Twitter and talking to people about what's going on right now, because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm doing other things. You know, like, I don't know. That's all I gotta say.
2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
I'm gonna stop the recording right here.
Oh man.
And then I'm gonna send y'all the link again. We hop back on. Write it down.
No, it said the message was, it said the call was extended to unlimited minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I was reading earlier. Yeah. So you don't have to end the call.
We don't have to end the call right now. We got unlimited.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, 2 seconds.
God's word.
All right.
I get what you're saying, but if this person does have a track record of already speaking out and already using their platform, already using their music to speak out on such things before this period, why not bring that stuff back? A simple retweeting or telling people to stream old music or making new music regarding the same thing is essentially just continuing to do the work you have already been doing. Then secondly, I think there is power in exposure, right? The power in transparency of showing people what you're doing, because that encourages other people to then pass on the torch to others, right? Like when people see that their favorite artist is doing something meaningful in the community, that also means something. Now, I'm not saying that everything they do has to be broadcasted, but it does encourage people and make them feel like they're supported and like they're part of a team when they see someone they admire also doing similar work. And if we don't know whether or not he is or not, like to a complete degree, but if we were to see what he's doing behind the scenes and stuff like that, then one, you shut everybody up, but then two, you're encouraging them at the same time. I believe J. Cole to be a person who does things in the background, that he's not a very loud person, but he does have a PR team. He does have a business team. Like he does have people who are more involved in the community who also see what he's doing, right? So that he could easily use his resources to be able to let them know, like, okay, I'm not comfortable with this, but I know the power behind what this is doing. And I think that more people may need to see this because there's power in exposure. Whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing depends on the situation. But I'm saying when he's doing positive things behind the scenes, or when he honestly just needs to take a mental break, he can say that, right? Like, I think there's a lack of communication on J. Cole's end because, yes, maybe he does want to maintain privacy. There is no obligation, but there is a responsibility behind that platform. It just comes with it. It's hand in hand, and he's known that for a long time. Whenever somebody reaches a certain point and people start to look up to you, it just becomes part of the game. You understand the responsibility that you have, and he even recognizes that in the song that he dropped. He was just like, when somebody else was like, yo, I love everything that you're doing, he also felt convicted by what Noname or Black Woman had been saying. And he's like, dang, I haven't been doing enough. Why? Because he feels that responsibility. So even despite the fact of, yes, the method may not have been the best, right? And the method could have been said in a different way. It could have been rephrased, but that's not the point of the message. The message is, you're not doing enough and you know it. And he could not refute that, right? So that is the point of what she was trying to say and what Black women have been trying to say, right? I do think, oh man, are we still good?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay.
We did a little bit.
I think the crux of what the argument is most black women, though again, it may not be the best method of trying to get that point out there. That's a debate for another day. Right now, because of the urgency and everything that's going on, they are screaming at the top of their lungs, people in power, black men in power, please do more. That is the message of what they're trying to say. And it seems like for on their end, they're saying, we're screaming for us and you, and you're telling us to quiet down. That's what they're saying it feels like from black men, right? And that's not the point of what they're trying to say. I'm going to stop right there so Denzel can talk.
Okay. Well, my thing, to be honest, is that I feel like we can agree. I feel like even Cole would probably agree. Like, all right, true. The timing of this song is bad, and I hit an issue that was probably like, or most likely like lesser than what's really more important. I understand the urgency and all of that. But again, I believe that people reached so far with this thing. Like literally somebody literally said, like posted, Brittany Daniel, she posted, black woman, we need black men to join us in the fight against misogynoir. J. Cole, but y'all read too much. Black women. And then where did J. Cole say that in the song? What? Are we serious? That's literally like super, that's a far reach. This shit is verified. I'm like, what? Did you even listen to the song? And so my whole thing is, if we are actually upset about someone's true words, someone's true action, something that they actually did, cool. We can address that. But once we start reaching, once we start like exaggerating, making up dramatic stuff and things about intentions, even when J. Cole, he went as far as he addressed his song, he posted his tweets and his intentions, and people are still like, man, he's just being manipulative and this is that. It's like you are pressed to see this guy in a bad light kind of thing. And so that's one thing. Number two, the song itself is like really pointing, like I see it as a bigger picture metaphor. Like when I listened to it, I saw it as him being like, almost like a story, like, yo, so first I seen this chick and I saw her like on Twitter and stuff, and she's really clearly smart and she's like gifted and all of that. I admit straight up, she's smarter than me. She knows more than I do. She has this and everything. But man, the only thing right now, oh, and by the way, she happened to maybe have thrown a shot at me. I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of feels like it. But anyway, what I'm noticing is that she has a lot of power over here, but it's probably not being used to its full capacity because the delivery of the power that she's using is instead repelling the exact people that she's trying to use. And so maybe if I acknowledge that she has power and that what she's doing is good, she has a lot of, weaponry over here, but I help her to calibrate it just a little bit more and have a little bit more ready, aim, fire type of stuff, then potentially we can actually hit more of the issues at hand. You have better ammo than I do, And so I see that you have good ammo, but what I'm realizing is that, first of all, I think you took a shot at me, but you know what? It's all right. I'm just going to brush that off. I'm going to say that. I'm going to mention that I feel like you took a shot at me, but this isn't about you taking a shot at me. And that's what I want all of y'all to understand. This is not about you taking a shot at me. This is something much bigger. This is about how you, in taking that shot at me and everything, me looking at your page, I realized you got really good bullets right there. How about we use that to like aim it in a better way? And I've realized from how I already am as a man as well, so I'm not speaking just to women, because I as a man, I operate in the same way that I'm advising you, is maybe if you change your tone in this manner, then you'll actually hit more targets. And then next thing you know, oh, he's a misogynist. he hates, he's doing this, he's tone policing. I'm not tone policing. All I said was if he literally said in the song, if I can respectfully request. Oh, no, he's being a simp. No, he's not. If I can respectfully request that maybe you just use your tone a little bit more in this way, if you just knock it this way, I think that what you're doing, what you're saying, will impact so many more people. Because right now, that rah-rah stuff that you're doing is not going to get to the people that you're talking to. Like, I get the urgency. I get that. Cool. But when it's like urgent and everything, and you're especially if you're talking to white people, like one of my friends, she's like, why do I have to, like, I'm just expressing how I feel. Why do I have to think about your feelings when you're the oppressor? I don't want to kiss up to the oppressor. And it's like, you have to pick one. In my opinion, you have to pick one. If you really want to change, then you have to be able to meet them where they are. Because in my opinion, that's what I think about. That's my opinion. I think that if you have this mindset of like, oh, I'm stubborn, I don't have to change anything, yada yada yada, you are free to express yourself wherever you want, but just know that you most likely are not going to influence many people. You're just going to be preaching to the choir, because the people who are supposed to be hearing it are not going to be receiving it. They're just going to, oh, there's another angry black woman. There's another angry nigger over there and everything. However, when you come to them and you're educated and you're speaking to them like really like, calmly and everything, and you're giving it to them in that way, oh man, and you're debunking them in a fashion, all of a sudden it's like, shoot, wow, David, you're really smart. I never thought about these things about the African American. Huh. Thanks, Kirk Franklin, for coming on to my show and explaining all of this stuff about the African American society. I've only heard Lil Uzi, say these things and, whatever. You know what I mean? And so once you are now kind of speaking a little bit their language and they actually respect you, then you have more influence with them. And so I think that's what Cole was more trying to say with this thing. And I think that he would have said that even to a guy. So he wasn't, in my opinion, what I was saying, yeah, I think that he would have said that even to a guy. He made a whole what was the song? Was it the last song?
1985.
Yeah.
1985.
Yeah, like he's addressing crappy stuff. And in his Middle Child video, he has the white woman like taking like baby hair and everything. He's clearly an advocate for Black women. He talks about this all the time. Even in his song with what's her name? It's not Rhapsody.
His song with no name.
I've
heard that.
It was in I think the name of the song was Sojourner, but pretty much.
Yeah, that's the song with no name.
Oh, you see?
I think that's Rhapsody.
Yeah, I thought it was Rhapsody, but. Anyway,
oh, that is Rhapsody. I'm lying.
Yeah, it was Rhapsody, but like in that song, he talks about these issues on there and a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's like for us to now, like how like Kendrick in his songs, like when shit hits the fan, is you still a fan? It's like for us to now, all of a sudden, like what Caleb was saying, like yo, I've been at this for years, and I've dropped one song, and overnight, literally, all of y'all are like attacking me. That's messed up. That's like you're always just one tweet, one word, one sentence away from being canceled or something like that. And I think that's stupid. I think that's allowing us to be like overly sensitive about things that we don't have to be overly sensitive about. When did J. Cole say, "Oh, but y'all read too much"? He never said that. Like you're using that to amplify your feelings and all of that. So that's how I feel.
I have like less than 5 minutes, so I have to go. But I do want to end with this, just to counteract your points. One, you will find that kind of rhetoric on both sides, right? Like there are very radical men out here saying some pretty wild stuff about the other side as well, right? So that rationale about this loud minority that's being very radical and taking it to the extreme, that is true. But it is also true that the same can be said on the other side as well about men oversimplifying what Noname was trying to address at the same time. So I don't feel like, Right.
I'm just
So
saying,
then,
Cole.
if
Like, why are we directing it at Cole
wait,
when
wait,
we
wait,
know he's not
wait.
like that? Like,
Wait,
that's what
wait,
makes me be like,
what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to use that rationale, allow it to be applied across the board. If you're going to address that one part, address both parts equally, so that we understand that this is not an isolated address, but rather something that needs to be spoken on both sides, so that it's clear, just exactly that we're on the same page. Like, everybody needs to stop being radical. If
that's
that's
a given for
right,
sure.
and if that's the case, then we should not even recognize those comments, because we understand that they're radical and they're just trying to get a rise out of people, right? Like, we are not, I wouldn't recognize tweets like that, because it's clearly oversimplifying what J. Cole was trying to say in the song. She clearly hasn't actually tried to decompress everything that he was trying to say and try to really get a true understanding of it. To me, that tweet just really makes it clear where she stands, and that she's just trying to get some attention. There are people like that all over. Wait. There are people like that all over Twitter. And if we try to use them as an excuse to say, okay, this is why I don't like this side, then we're just overgeneralizing. And that's not fair to anybody. Number two, if we're going to talk about the tone that J. Cole was saying, and saying like, okay, you'll catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Again, true in most instances, right? However, with this type of situation in general, specifically regarding the Black Lives Matter movement and how Black women have been addressing Black men, even with abuse as well, the people who don't want to listen to you are always going to find ways not to listen to you. And that's true on both sides in every aspect of this whole conversation. The people who do not want to listen are not going to listen. So trying to change your approach it may not really do much, right? Like, to rephrase things so that they can feel better about the message that you're giving to them may work in most instances. But in instances like this, when it's all of our lives are equally at risk, we don't have the time to try and rephrase and to try to be as tactful as possible all the time. And I'm sure that, like, Noname has actually been trying to be tactful. However, in this instance, she wasn't, because she was tired, frustrated, and drained. And also feeling like she wasn't, like, the movement wasn't as equally supported on all fronts, which goes back to the point of why I was saying earlier about the power of exposure. Because that wouldn't have happened had he been encouraging people by simply leading by example, right? Like, I feel like, yes, J. Cole may not have been he may not have, he's not completely at wrong, like in the wrong here, but I still feel like there's plenty of room for him to grow as well. And he recognizes that. And I'm absolutely sure that Noname also recognizes where she could have done better as well. Right? So the point of what I'm trying to say with Black men and Black women is that Black women are trying to scream about what's going on, right? And they don't necessarily care about the feelings of Black men right now. And that's his own issue totally altogether. I agree that it may be misdirected anger at what is going on to Black people as a whole, but I also feel like Black men aren't really listening to the message that Black women are trying to portray and trying to mobilize them, right? Again, the method is not the best, but the method is not the point. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I didn't want to. Y'all can continue this, but I really do have to get on the prayer line. So I'm sorry. Y'all can continue this. Thank y'all for listening. I tried my best to be devil's advocate. I still agree with most of the points that y'all are saying.
I don't really even know what you think. That's the problem.
Man, don't worry about what I think, son. The point was to have the conversation.
Facts about me are irrelevant, but facts about God.
Yeah. So
he should be named Noname. It's only one name.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't like I'm reading J. Cole's tweets again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he said. And I'm pretty sure you read him already.
Yeah.
He said, "Follow Noname. I love and honor her as a leader in these times. She has done and is doing the reading and listening and learning on the path, and that she truly believes is the correct one for our people. Meanwhile, a nigga like me just be rapping." And then he said, I haven't done a lot of reading and I don't feel well equipped as a leader in these times, but I do a lot of thinking. And I appreciate her and others like her because they challenge my beliefs, and that in these times, that's important. And he says, we may not agree with each other, but we got to be gentle with each other.
Right.
I don't see how. And then this is the crazy thing. After the last one, this person says, hold up. This isn't crazy, but I don't know about this take. She said, why do black women have to be gentle? She made a good point about how rappers quick to use their platform to sell, but won't turn around and support the public in fighting the system. Yeah, people expect black women to clean up the mess and educate others. It's not her job. Stop being lazy. So I say, J. Cole said, I appreciate her and others like her. Others, not other women like her, you know?
Exactly.
I don't think this is directed at women per se, because I don't think J. Cole has ever been the one to attack women.
Exactly.
Also, we're not selling black women to be gentle, but in the same breath, like, why can't we be gentle with each other?
Exactly.
Because, like, I don't think, obviously everyone's outraged. Everyone's mad. Every time I go on Twitter and I see, at one point, like a couple weeks ago, I deleted Twitter after there too. I just couldn't do it. And like, I see all this stuff. I see all these videos, people getting shot at, like, protest. I see videos of people getting pulled up. And this is disregarding all the videos of the black people being killed and people not being convicted, even though the evidence is on camera. Right. And I get pissed. I'm angry. I'm over here like, all right, I'm trying to study and focus on school. And all I see is people like me being brutalized for doing absolutely nothing. And my thing is, like, as angry as I am, if I'm having a conversation with another black woman or another black person in general that I feel is a bit ignorant to the situation at hand, I'm not going to be angry at them. And I think that's something that a lot of people haven't learned in their lives. It's funny because I had a conversation with the girl I'm talking to. I had a conversation with her about this yesterday, about not, and this wasn't even about the J. Cole thing, but about not misdirecting your anger.
Yes.
And I talked to her about stuff I went through with my dad when, like, growing up, and how, like, if I did something bad at school and he had a bad day at work, it was clips. Because, like, not only was he angry at me for whatever happened in school, but he was angry about work. He was angry about the bills, and all that would come out. I'm out here working and my back hurts and I'm waking up early and I'm working 13 hours a day. And here you are getting D's. You see, now it's like, okay, where's the correlation? Now you're mad at me for everything now. Like, all this anger and all this pent up aggression and all, like, the stress you're feeling is now coming at me when all I did was get the D.
Right.
You know, like, I feel like that's one thing that a lot of people, and I feel like it has a lot to do with not people only experiencing a lot of trauma, but internalizing it and not knowing and not finding the proper outlets to, like, misdirect that anger. Because I feel like with us, we have outlets with, right, like, whether it be exercise, whether it be writing, whether it be music, whether it be whatever, we have outlets. And I feel like a lot of people don't have outlets, and their outlet is their platform to educate. And when that anger needs to come out, it comes out here. And it's just, I don't know. I understand that it's not, it's not proactive to, like, sit here and say, look, you can't be mad at everybody. Because obviously, like, sometimes I'm going to get on Twitter and I'm be annoyed at shit I'm seeing. I'm going to get on Twitter and be like, look, y'all being stupid right now. I hate all the stuff going on. But I'm not going to direct it at people that are being oppressed. Like, we can say, okay, black women shouldn't educate black men on oppression because black women are more oppressed than black men. But we're out here posting all this stuff to educate everybody, not just black women and women. Black men and women aren't the ones that need to be educated on oppression. We're the ones being oppressed.
Right.
That's like saying that a black woman can educate a lighter skinned woman on colorism because she's not experiencing, like, she has to be educated on it because she's not experiencing it, you know? And I feel like we as people, there's no reason to create a divide between us trying to educate each other, because we can't all go off and educate the oppressors. People say we shouldn't do this, but I don't see why. We can't all go off and educate the oppressors unless we're all educated ourselves. And us dealing with white people who really don't know or don't understand what's going on, they're never going to know. They're racist. No racist person's father is going to teach them, yo, this is what we've been doing to black people.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's our job. And as bad as it is, and as much as it shouldn't be, because we're all humans and we're all equal, it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have an alternative.
Yeah.
Unless we riot, we protest, or we educate.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any other changes. We
Yeah.
don't have enough power to just hop in there and rewrite the laws. We don't have enough power to reform the justice system. We don't have enough power for prison reform. Our power is in our voice, and our power is in educating everybody on what's going on, because if enough people understand what's going on, then we can make a change collectively.
Right.
But once we say it's not our job to educate anyone else, we just got to sit here and be angry. Like, I don't understand. I don't know.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So that's what I was telling a friend of mine, because it's like, if you want to just express yourself, fine. Again, you can go ahead and do that. You can do that over there. That's fine. You can get out all of your pent-up anger. But if you want to actually create the change, if you want to actually have these white people hear you and be like, oh, you know, and actually listen to you, respect what you're saying, then you can show passion, but you can't go to them condescendingly and everything, because they a lot of them are they're just plain ignorant, whether in the bad way or the good way. Like, not the good way, but like the neutral way, like they just don't know. Or the ignorant isn't like they just choose to be ignorant, you know? But like either way, it's like you have to be able to go to them and speak in a way that they'll be able to receive it, because that's what's going to actually change them. If you're just expressing yourself, that's only going to help you probably feel better. And if that's what your goal is, cool. But if you're actively trying to make a difference, you have to learn how to like approach the people that you're trying to make a difference with. That's how I see it. And then on top of that, like I said, like the main thing that I'm seeing that's just upsetting me is like the black woman kind of like just like you said, why do black women have to be more? J. Cole himself is gentle, you know? Like the advice that he was giving, he's following it himself, and he's a man. So that's why I'm like, yo, y'all are making this a whole like he's attacking black women thing, when that's so far from the truth, because he's giving this, just like you said, he's saying we should be gentle with each other. So I feel like if I were Cole and I read people saying like he's trying to silence black women and everything, I would literally like what? Where did you even get that from? Again, a reach. Because like I'm not talking about just black women here. I'm talking about all of us. Like, yo, we should probably approach this in a more tactful, more gentle manner. And I think there is a time to be Malcolm X. I'm not against Malcolm X. I actually really appreciate and respect Malcolm X. But I think he was just as necessary as Martin Luther King Jr. was necessary. And so you have to be able to know the times. You have to know the times to be Martin Luther King Jr., who was able to sit with the white people, the higher up white people and everything. He was able to talk to the president. Because they were like, okay, Martin, like he was close enough to them. And sure, some black people thought like, oh, you know, he was a coon or whatever, which is heartbreaking, because he's like, yo, I'm fighting for y'all. I'm fighting for you guys. And it's because I've been able to learn how to speak their language that they're allowing me this close to them to actually have a say in their little conference meetings. Malcolm did not have no say in their conference meetings. So when you're able to actually change that, that's how you bring change. But when there are also people who will just, no matter what, no matter how you speak to them, they are going to still they're going to tune you out. Those are the people who then you can bring the Malcolm X part out of you. Like this whole situation that happened with that David Chauvin officer putting his neck into, like, putting his knee into dude's neck. Like that to Malcolm X situation, in my opinion. I put out the video, enough is enough. I'm pissed. You know, I'm not about to go talk to that officer and be like, yo, that was wrong. Because, you know, no, especially looking at the video and he's looking all smug and everything, that's a Malcolm X situation. I'm not going to talk to you civilly. You know what you're doing wrong. But when there's someone who's just clearly ignorant and they just feel like we're just whining, you can't just continue whining to them. You have to go to
It's
them
not even.
and sit
It's
down
not
with
even
them
that.
and explain, break it
I feel
down.
like understanding, like you said, there's a time for the peaceful protest and there's a time to be angry. And like J. Cole's saying, our time to be angry isn't with each other. Our time to be angry is with the oppressors.
Right.
We're educating them, but we're angry.
Right.
We're showing them, look, we've had enough. This is why we're mad.
Right.
Just because if someone like us, if someone from our church example, because Ghanaian men especially are like coons to the core. So like not understanding what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come at them angrily. You got to come at them in a tone you can talk to them. You have no reason to be angry at them. They're not the ones oppressing you. They're not contributing to like injustice going on at hand. So like you said, there's a time and a place for every kind of protest.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we should ever be violent with each other unless someone really deserves it. Unless you're out here doing something blatantly, like you're actually a misogynist, you're actually like out here siding with the people who are doing the oppression, you're out here siding with the police, stuff like that. Then okay, you can get attacked with the same aggression as them, but not the ones who are on your side. You know?
Right.
Like the same way. Like I don't want to see. I've seen stuff like this stuff happen in a black woman that's just been pissing me off online. We saw the thing about the Toyin girl who died, and like she was talking about her sexual assault and no one listened. We saw the trend where people were coming out saying, look, this is when I was assaulted and this is name, and then people discrediting them in the comments. Shit like that drives me insane, because if my daughter was to come to me and tell me that she got sexually assaulted, I'm going to jail. I don't care. I'm going to jail because I'm going to find that nigga. I don't care, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take my daughter's word for it.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell people how to convey their trauma.
Right.
You can't tell people when to speak up. You can't tell people how to handle their trauma. The same way you can't tell black people or anyone and that's in our position, how to protest or internalize what's going on right now. So like just being like saying that like, look, I'm on your side and I got your back through whatever. And then being like, yo, but look, I don't understand this certain situation at hand. Could you educate me? And you get mad at me for that? Well, go look it up, nigga. Like, nigga, what? Like, I thought we're in this together. Like, talk to me so that, level with me so that we can both be on that level and then we can make change together,
No,
and
it's not up to me. Get over
I don't even think it's like it's not a feeling. And in the same time, you can't tell people, look, get over your feelings. And in the same breath, say, don't try to police our feelings. Like, I'm not trying to police your feelings. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm like, look, I'm not mad. I just wish you could have a better tone. Well, F you, don't tell me not to be mad, but don't get in your feelings. It's like, how you gonna tell me not to get in my feelings, but tell you not to be mad? Like, it's a here, like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, if they want to do the levels of oppression thing, like sure, like black men, there's things that we will never experience that black women go through. But that doesn't mean that there isn't things that we're experiencing as well, because that's the reason we're protesting in the first place. Right. So it's like we're all going through things.
Right.
And like, I don't know. It just makes me upset because I was thinking this and I was just like, all I want in my lifetime is just like a time where like we can all live in peace and harmony. And we know that that's unattainable because the world's been like this since the inception of time. Since Cain and Abel, there's been violence. Yeah. And it hurts because I know that like, even if I make it through or not, and like my spouse makes it through or not, I'm going to have children and they're going to experience the same thing because they're people of color and they're children. And this is going to continue on for generations where it's going to be something happening because there's a group of people who believe that they're superior to another group of people. And I would love for it to not be this way. Mm-hmm. And then there's also people who are oppressed and who are of color who internalize this kind of oppression and racism and then attack people of their own color. You see it in the Hispanic community a lot where they do not stand up for black people at all. They don't give a fuck about us. And it's just like, okay, well, like, we're supposed to be in this together. Like, police gonna shoot me the same way they shoot you. And, it's just like, nah, well, we're not you. So now we have this divide between the people who are being oppressed, which creates like kind of like a level system or like a pyramid of like, yo, we're like at the bottom right now because not only are we being oppressed by the people at the top, but the people under them and the people under them also don't mess with us and also won't stand up for us. So it's just like, I just want to be able to live in a world one day where that's not a thing. We can all live in harmony. But all the world is showing me, and Donald Trump being in office and all the races coming out, is that we haven't made a dent in what's going on, you know, since slavery ended. It's just been reformed, like as far as the oppression goes. We went from KKK, we got police officers. KKK is still around, which is crazy. Now we have police officers doing their work, judges doing their work, politicians, people sitting in the Senate, people who write the laws. The same people who are descendants of the people who are lynching our ancestors. And it's just like, when does it end? You know? That was a cynical ass take. I'm sorry, but like I just
no, that's real though, and I think that's the problem because it's like, I guess at the end of the day, I think that the closing statement could be that I want to make it very, very clear that I love Black women and I hear Black women. I know Caleb, he loves Black women. He hears Black women. And I am not in any way trying to silence their voices. I also don't believe that J. Cole is trying to do that. I don't think that was his intention. When I speak, I would like for all of us. I'm not speaking just to Black women, just to women. I'm speaking about all of us, including myself. I think that we should all continue to learn to use tact. Like, you know, I think that we should all learn how to like deliver messages in a way that it'll land so that the seed will be able to actually be planted properly and then grow into something that's going to be of use. Mm-hmm. I think that also us being divided amongst each other is just causing more and more problems, you know? And so, yes, I acknowledge that there definitely are Black men out there who are silencing Black women and everything. I definitely acknowledge that for sure. But I think that we should also give more credit to the Black men who are continuing to support Black women, and we're still listening to them as well. I feel like we should, at my job, there was like, I work at Buffalo Wild Wings, as you know, and at my job, one of my managers, she's white, and she's real cool and everything. She's like a white ally for Black people of color. She's really dope. And there was like a bar fight, and these black ladies, they apparently called, like when my white manager got involved in everything, they called her racist. I wasn't there, but I heard about this, and my manager got so sad. She was like shaking, all of that. She cried about it. And I know that there are racist people out there. I know that. But when
she's not one of them.
Falsely call someone racist, then that, especially that makes us less credible, because then it's like, well, I wonder how many other times Black people just use the race card, like, oh, well, you're racist, when all I tried to do was just like calm down the situation, and you know what I mean?
It's like the boy who cried wolf.
Exactly.
It kind of sucks because that shouldn't be the case. Like a couple of Black people calling people racist shouldn't discredit a whole bunch. But it's the same way like with sexual assault.
Yeah,
and how there are two false rape accusations. All of a sudden, no one wants to believe women who've been abused, and it's just like it shouldn't be that way. But that's how people are.
Exactly. And so because that's how people are, that's an issue that makes this more nuanced and more layered. So it's like, okay, so I speak out to my fellow black people. I posted it on Twitter. So people can't tell me like, oh, well, you don't even address this. I try to address all sides. In my racism video, I address both black people and white people, like, and so with this, I said my fellow black people, my fellow people of color, I tweeted it. I was like, please be careful with who you're calling racist, especially in these times. Because we already have enough white people who don't believe in us. Like, oh, what? Let me guess, he called you racist? And, it's like because they've seen too many situations where, in their opinion, it was not racist. And sometimes we just throw that around so then it weakens its power. It should be something that we use when it's like, so that to the point like me, hopefully, if I ever claim that something is racist, people will know my credibility so well that they'd be like, "Oh, nah, if Denzel's saying that it's racist, it's racist." Because Denzel's the type to think through it. He'll be like, "Okay, maybe this is one of those situations, something like that, But like, if I just say everything is racist, then you're gonna start thinking like, well, I wonder how many things are actually racist. Again, the boy who cried wolf, and this is the same thing with black women and talking about misogyny and everything like that. We're talking about Cole. We're talking about J. Cole. Come on now.
Like, imagine people. Well, this is the equivalent to like if people were to come out and call Kendrick a coon. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
I'm just like, bro.
That's how I feel too. Like J. Cole is such an advocate, and he's been talking about this stuff. And so why now, overnight, we're over here talking, you're a misogynist, you're this, you're that. And it's like, where are you pulling this from? Especially when you listen to the song and he's like praising her. And he's just like, if I may just say a word of advice. Oh, you're polluting my tone. You're doing this. You misogynist. Stop. I'm going to say it. I feel like we're being overly sensitive in this specific situation. And that's the problem. We have to be careful with when we start firing up, because now we have a whole bunch of white people looking at us like mad white people on my timeline. They don't even know who J. Cole is. And they're like, dang, they're fighting against themselves. Oh, black women are now complaining about black men. Like, like I'm thinking about, I don't know if you watch Blackish, but Dre's boss, like, I'm thinking about him. He's just, black people just never get along between each other. And it's just like, they're just looking at us, like, stop. Again, I know there are black men out there who are misogynists and who do that and everything, but don't misdirect your anger. And so that's why I got fired up, because this whole situation with Cole, it's like, okay, Cole, really? We're using this? This just brought down so much credibility. But again, also shout out to the black.
I mean, I've been hating this cancel culture stuff since it started. Like when they started just still, you're not tweeting. Oh, this person is not tweeting. This person hasn't said anything about what's going on. Cancel them.
Right.
I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
But I want to say shout out to the black women out there who are speaking up as well. And like I'm seeing so many black women talking to other black women. Like that tweet that I said, I've seen so many like respond like, where did Cole say that? Like they know, like, nah, Cole is for us, like this is not like, nah, sis, I hear you. We are oppressed and we do have like black men who are misogynists and everything, but don't come for this one because he's not one of them. And I appreciate y'all black women who are like that, and that's how I feel. So that's what I think that, I feel like David, he
has to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, right.
He did well.
He hopped on and he just like, he threw all of his points and everything. And what I really wanted to do was address each point like one by one kind of thing. But like, every time he put up his finger, then like I'd lose whatever I was gonna say, and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm glad that he at least like, wasn't an echo chamber. He brought up like whatever he had to say. But yeah, this is what I think, and that's pretty much how I summarize it. Love black women. I believe that J. Cole loves black women. I believe that we do have a responsibility, if you're planning to educate people, to actually be mindful of your tone.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. If I had to criticize Cole, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a couple things he could have did better. One, the timing of the song is kind of trash, considering everything that's going on, right? Two, his I guess his priority in addressing it was weird. It's like he was out in the streets. He was doing what he was doing. He didn't tweet. He didn't say anything. He just dropped the song, and I think it was kind of like Cole knows his platform. He knows he's big, and he knows if he drops a song out of nowhere with no promotion, that like people are gonna jump on it because they're like, oh shit, this new Cole, especially with the climate that's going on. I think because of like other artists dropping songs relative to what's going on, they're thinking, if J. Cole drops something, then like it's gonna be deep, it's gonna be crazy. But J. Cole's never really been that person. He did it once. And it was when the Mike Brown stuff was going on. He came out with Be Free. And he was like, and that song was deep, but it was like just a cry out for help because Black people were being killed. And I don't understand why people want him to do that again. J. Cole isn't out here retweeting everything on the movement. He didn't even retweet himself when people saw him out, like we saw him out in the street and stuff like that. J. Cole doesn't care about social media. His platform is in his neighborhood, like around his person, his persona. That's his platform. The people he surrounds himself with all the time. Not everyone's platform is social media. And that's why I feel like social media is a curse sometimes, because now we start judging people based off of what they post or what they don't post. Okay, that's not what we're about to do. We're not about to cancel people based on what they're not posting on social media. Like what? Like we don't even know what J. Cole's kids look like, bro. Like, we don't know anything about him. I don't even know what his girl looked like. Like, he got 2 kids. And it's just like, okay, like, what about this man? This man's been that secretive. And like, he's been talking about this stuff in his music, which is his platform. I don't know.
No, I feel
Jamila, I'm interested to hear your opinion on all this.
Well, Caleb, I honestly feel like you made a lot of great points, and you were saying a lot of the things that I was thinking. But hold on, I wrote some things down.
Okay.
It was on here because I enjoy arguing with him. Yeah, honestly, I feel like that last thing you said, for me, is kind of the root of the issue. David kept talking a lot about urgency, but it's like, kind of like what the heck is urgency with like social media? Like everybody thinks everything has to be urgent because that's the age. Like we're in the age of social media now. But like that's not even like social media isn't real. And it's not like because the conversation is about Twitter essentially. So it's not like somebody's life was at stake based on if he tweeted or not. Like that just doesn't really make sense. And so, and like the same thing what Denzel was saying, like with Kanye and Jay-Z and Beyonce and everything like that. Like at this point, I see the pattern. Like I recognize how they operate. I'm not going to judge them by the way that they choose to use their platform. Like just like Jay-Z, everybody wanted to get on him about like, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing and how he felt about protesting and how he felt
because he was sponsored. He was like partnering with the NFL and stuff.
Yeah, like all that stuff. And it's like, okay, but like you're missing the point.
Right.
Like y'all can kneel, that's fine. But I'm gonna sit at the table of the commissioner and I'm gonna talk with him about it. And we're gonna talk about the way that, this whole system is set up for, or really like against us. Like if you wanna protest, like at the end of the day, it's like we all should at least be wanting to do what is most effective and also what is most authentic to us. And it wasn't authentic or effective for Jay-Z to kneel or for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have, I don't really remember all the details, but like he should have like respected that Colin kneeled, which I feel like he did. I don't really remember. But at the end of the day, it's just like kind of like what you were saying about protesting and stuff like that. And like Beyonce is like emailing, I think, the general attorney for Breonna Taylor and stuff like that. Beyonce's another person. We barely know what her twins look like. Like, she didn't post about her emailing the general attorney. Like, people found out or whatever. And so it's like, is she less urgent because she didn't do that either? Like, granted, I mean, compared to J. Cole, she has posted a little bit more about everything that's going on, but even still, like, once again, it's all about how people choose to use their platform. And social media has tricked us into thinking that if we are not keeping up with the people around us, then we are not being as effective, or our voice isn't being heard or whatever. But it's like, no, that's just not my voice. And like, I'm a singer. So you got sopranos, you got altos, you got contraltos, you got tenors, you got basses, you got mezzo sopranos. Everybody has a different voice, a different register. Some people go high, some people go low. You know, at the end of the day, as long as we all blend together well, and as long as we're all singing in harmony, like, that's what matters the most. So that was one point.
I like that a lot. And I think, like you said, that ties into what I was saying. Like, not everyone's platform is to advocate on social media like Noname's is. Exactly. So you can't attack rappers who have been talking about this since before she was rapping to advocate on social media the way you do. Because the urgency of the matter isn't now. The urgency of the matter was when we were freed as slaves and when we were being oppressed. Like, it's been urgent for 300 years. A tweet, 2-week timeline between J. Cole tweeting to a largely liberal demographic on his timeline that already knows what's going on is not making a difference.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. So,
and like, even with that, like, people want to like play J. Cole and be like, oh, and even David mentioned this about how, like, you know, we can speculate that he didn't even start protesting until after she made that tweet. So J. Cole has been protesting for a brick.
Yeah, I was like, is that what?
That's all I'm saying. Like, what kind of indication has J. Cole given us that what would force J. Cole to start protesting Black injustices, which he was doing for Ferguson and for Trayvon Martin, that, oh crap, Noname subtweeted me, I gotta go now.
That like, really crossed my mind. I thought it was just me when David said that. I was like, maybe.
And it wasn't even just J. Cole. He was out there with NBA players.
Yeah.
He was out there with NBA players and friends. You think they weren't thinking about this, or they were just like, damn, we getting subtweeted, let's go out, we'll go out together. Like, no, we're doing this. They've been about this life, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, and honestly, like, they can say everything they want about tone policing and the subject matter of his song or whatever. But bottom line is, tell me with 100% honesty and with all the conviction in your heart that J. Cole's message to her was wrong. That what he said in his song was incorrect about tone of your voice having more influence or just as much influence as the subject matter.
I feel like that's what people think. And like David was saying how like, number one, we all know that Noname's tone could have been better. And that number two, we should ignore the radicalists. But I think that, number one, no, a lot of people don't think that Noname's tone was incorrect. A lot of people don't really care about tone. And granted, I don't think it was even that bad. Like, I feel like this whole thing on both sides has just been blown up. Like, she wasn't really even cussing anybody out, or like, it really wasn't that big of a deal to begin with. But, yeah, like, there are a lot of people who just don't think that the way that she said anything was wrong. And I think that, like I was telling Denzel, like, this was #1 trending on Twitter today. Like, that's because there are enough people saying, enough radicalists, which I really don't think, I don't even really know if radicalist is the right term, because I feel like it's kind of a common, like,
it's too common to be radical.
Yeah, it's a common perspective that most people feel like J. Cole was, you know, being misogynistic, and that he is misogynistic and everything. And especially, you have celebrities, you have Chance the Rapper, you have Chica, you have Kevin Page. All of these celebrities are basically, you know, criticizing
coming at J. Cole.
what he did. There's no, from what I've seen, there aren't any celebrities that are like standing up for him or whatever, like, which is fine. My whole point is just that, well, obviously there are a lot of people who feel radical feelings, and which kind of, in my opinion, makes it not radical, because that's why it blew up the way that it blew up. And you have all these people that I feel like in certain ways are justified in how they're feeling. But yeah, so all that to say, I don't think that everybody can really even agree, like, oh, you know, that her tone could have been better, or that J. Cole was right in what he said. I don't think
no one on Twitter has, I haven't seen anyone advocate and say, look, Noname's tone could have been better, but J. Cole shouldn't have been talking about her. No one on Twitter said that. All they're saying is, J. Cole doesn't know how to read the room. He's tone policing.
Yeah.
He's being misogynistic. He's policing Black women. I'm like, what? Like, no. Like, he's saying that, look, I understand what you're saying. You're saying everything that people need to hear. But my one suggestion to you is that you change the tone of your voice. Because I understand what you're saying, even though I was a little bit offended or a little bit bothered by your tone. I still understand what you're saying. But this is what I kept talking about while rapping from perspective. The perspective of other rappers like me, or other people like me, or other Black men like me, they're not going to be receptive to what you're saying. And if you want change, people have to be receptive to what you're saying. If you're just saying things to say it and you don't care how you're saying it, you're never going to make the change you want to make.
Right.
Yeah, I made this note based on what David said. I said, what is urgency without effectiveness? And a lot of what he was saying reminded me of
the bar.
That's a bar for real.
Caleb, we need a link up. I'm trying to tell you.
We do.
You're right. Like, think about, and like, this is extreme and kind of like what we all have been talking about, even like as a Black society, but like, you know, about not telling people how they should feel or whatever. But like, let's assume that we can tell people how they feel, right? Which I feel like in more instances than we would like to face, we actually can. But let's ignore that. Like, if a 911 emergency, like when you're on the phone with the 911 operator, they want to hear clearly what is happening. They're like, oh my gosh, and then what happened is, and like that's not helping the situation. They're trying to figure out what is happening right now so they can get the ambulance, so they can get the police to your house or whatever, because you yelling at them on the phone, trying to get them to understand what's happening around you. Your boyfriend is dying right now next to you, or like, you know. So, like I said, urgency. What is urgency without effectiveness? Like, it's important that your message is clear.
That you get the message across.
Passionate, because if you just have passion without clarity, then it fizzles. The message fizzles.
Like, you can, like going back to the analogy you just made, you can be on the phone and be like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. My boyfriend was an operator, be like, calm down, like, tell me what's going on. Yeah. Now, if you answer the phone, you're like, my boyfriend's dying. I think he's having a heart attack. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And like, a super calm, the operator, like, this, you know, like, the situation isn't matching the urgency right now. But like, that's in times of like we're trying to get help to fix the matter at hand right now. What we're doing right now is trying to spread awareness
about urgency, like, oh, we need it right now. And I'm like, okay, the most urgent situation is like when you're on the phone with 911, you really do need it. And even
that's urgency.
Yeah.
Right now, what we need is, we need leaders, like she said, but we don't need leaders on the same exact platform that you're, because we need, like I said, there's different facets to the civil rights movement, and there's different facets to activism. Her activism through her book club and spreading social awareness through Twitter isn't going to work for anyone who's not on Twitter or not on social media. Now, for J. Cole going into the hood and giving food and water and money or charity work to the Black families that are struggling, is that not activism?
Yeah.
Just because it's not on the platform that you see, just because it's not, it's crazy how social media works, because we see people get destroyed online for recording a good deed because they record it. When people like give money to homeless people and they record them giving money to the nigga freezing on the sidewalk, and people are like, bro, you didn't have to record this. But now it's like, why can't we see the activism you're doing? I get, it's like, it's such a double-edged sword. Like, not everything has to be recorded, but not everything has to be not recorded either. Like, I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, social media and your good deeds, they shouldn't correlate. Like, just because you're a good person doesn't mean we have to see it. Because if you're an actual good person, you're not doing it for anyone. You're not doing it to show people. And that's J. Cole. He's not doing what he's doing to show people that he's a good person. He's doing it to help people.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't understand how him hopping on social media and saying this is going to motivate more people to do good, because we been knew what he was about. We know what he's doing.
Exactly.
And it's about consistency too. Like, I agree with what you said. I guess the only like caveat I would add is like, if you consistently don't really post on social media, then like still be doing that. But if you got something to say about everything all the time and then something big happens and like, yeah, like that's when it's like, okay, like now all of a sudden you quiet, like now like before you
that's what I agree on.
Yeah, appropriating Black culture, you were doing this, or you were doing that, and now something happens in the Black community and you don't got nothing to say. Or like, you know, but it doesn't even have to just be white people, but so yeah, I just feel like everything in a lot of ways is just like about being consistent with people's character. And I feel like most of the time people who I feel like have been defending J. Cole are the people who listen to his music, watch his interviews, or like familiar most with him as a person outside of, you know, an artist or whatever. And so they're able to be like, you know, whatever. So like I said, it's about consistency and understanding the person. And I understand, especially now with, you know, even tying in with the social media thing, but like, especially now, people don't really want to take the time to explain to people why they're wrong. People don't want to take the time to do the research, be like, well, you made that song and I'm not listening. Denzel, the friend he was talking about, didn't even listen to the song. She just read the lyrics. Like, there's all these things. So it's like, I mean, some people
I'm convinced that like
aren't familiar.
I'm convinced that people. So this girl that I'm talking to, we were hanging out yesterday, and she hadn't heard the song, so I played it for her, and it was cool. Like, she was like, I like it. She's like, I need to hear it again now. And then she got on Twitter and saw people were outraged. So then she was like, all right, let me pull up the lyrics. And then she pulled up the lyrics, and then she had something to say after she read the outrage. Not when she listened to the song for herself. After she read what he was talking about, and then she read it, and she had like a problem with one line when she said about like the tone line basically, and she was just like we don't have to educate people like them, like Google is free, and I'm just like, okay, Google is free, but like what's Google to someone who doesn't know what to research? Exactly. I was like, you tell me this: if you're ignorant on a subject and you don't know how to look it up, you don't know what to. How do I Google? How does a white person go and Google white privilege to learn about it when they don't know what white privilege is? They just live it. They don't know it. They just live it. So they don't know there's a term for what they're experiencing. Same way, same thing with colorism. Same thing with misogyny. There's a lot of terms and there's a lot of things that people exemplify in their daily lives that they don't really understand because they just live it. They don't know that there's a word for this shit. They don't know that there's actually like there's a system and there's like a history behind what they're living and what they're doing. And you can't tell people, educate yourself. Educate myself on what? I'm asking you a question and you're mad at me. Like, I just want to answer so I can be better. Like, I never understood, like, we're mad at people for being silent. We're mad at people for appropriating the culture, but then not standing up for the culture when it's time, right? But then we're mad at people for wanting to be educated on what the culture is. We're mad at people wanting to be educated on what appropriating the culture is. We're mad at people for wanting to educate themselves on oppression, but we're mad at people for oppressing. Like, why are we angry at everything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's my whole issue.
Yeah, if I were to like, respond to that or whatever, I would say I feel like it's not about we're mad about people wanting to be educated. This doesn't sound any better. But we're mad about them asking us to educate them. I think that's like the slight difference. Like, oh yeah, you can learn.
But who are they gonna ask? Like, who better to teach you how to play the game of basketball than a nigga who played in the NBA? Nah, I'm not gonna ask. Don't ask me because I live this shit. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Go ask the niggas in the stand that watch because, like, what? Like, I don't understand. Go ask the owners that own the league but don't know about the people on the court that are actually playing. Like that don't make sense to me. Like, if you want to understand something, you go to the root. Right? Not the root of the systemic racism, because you can't do that because it's a system. But like, you go to the root of the people experiencing it, right? Like, you don't go to, like, if I want to learn about misogyny, if I want to learn about the injustices done to women, if I want to learn about how people actually internalize it and how it comes out in the form of words, actions, whatever, right?
Right.
I'm gonna go talk to a woman who's experienced it. I'm not going to talk to the CEO of the company who doesn't understand. He's just like, yeah, well, we did this and I did that. And it's like you think if I talk to Donald Trump right now about injustice against women and sexual assault, who would really understand? Like, because he's the perpetrator. He knows what he's doing. He might not, he knows that it's wrong, but he obviously doesn't give enough of a fuck to stop. But if I really want to learn about the effect that it has on women, I'm going to talk to somebody who's either experienced it or talk to somebody who knows someone who's experienced it and seen how it's affected them.
Yeah. And I think that there's definitely, as always, there's definitely room for balance, like to do research and then also have conversations. So I don't think that you should have one without the other.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't turn down the conversation expecting to do research.
Yeah.
Like, research for yourself, but here, I'm going to tell you what to look up. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you a premise. I'm going to say, look, this is what happened. It all started with slavery. Slavery ended. We got into sharecropping. And we have all these situations of where, Black people have been put down, Black Wall Street situations, things like that. Now you know what to look up. Now you know what to learn. I can't, go, I'm tired of teaching y'all. Go learn yourself. All right, cool. Then now we're trying to educate the people. As bad as it sounds, we're Black. We can't make the change that we need. We need to educate the white people in power, or we need to infiltrate and become those people in power. We can't do that unless we speak their language or we educate them themselves. If we don't change our tone, we're never going to speak their language. We're not tone policing. We're trying to speak their language, and we're not going to be able to. I don't know. It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand at all. Like, I don't understand the argument here over tone policing versus effective communication. I don't understand when it became cool to not know how to communicate and not know how to control your emotions. I don't understand when that became the norm. I understand that people go through trauma, and I understand everyone's been through it, maybe some more than others, but that shouldn't be the reason. We can't sit here and keep making excuses for shitty behavior because we've been through stuff. And that's everybody on the planet. Because if that's the case, then we're going to keep using everything bad that happens in the world because someone went through something bad, and then they did something bad because they went through something bad. And that's what they try to do with every villain. That's what they try to do with everyone who's ever done anything bad in history, all the mass shooters, all the terrorists, everything. They give them excuses for why their behavior is shitty. And like, I just don't understand. Everyone goes through things, and we need to stop excusing people's bad behavior because they went through trauma. That goes for everybody, including the people who are trying to help but don't know how to communicate.
Yeah, I will say, I think I was telling Denzel that I think that it's interesting that, like, with this whole thing, there has been a clear divide, even though there's exceptions. So, like, it's obviously Black women who are most upset about this whole thing, and then, Black men who are like, nah, y'all. So it's like, I feel like that's kind of unfortunate, and kind of just like a representation of, I guess, the relationship that we have with each other within the Black community and with topics such as, this. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
with everything going on, the last thing we need is a divide between Black women and Black men.
And like I said, I agree with what you said. Like, J. Cole, this was bad timing. It was bad timing. Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking with that, because I feel like he's a very thoughtful person.
I think what J. Cole thought, and I feel like this is the plight of a lot of men who want to do good, is that they think people are better than they really are, right? J. Cole's thought process.
That's what I was thinking.
J. Cole's thought process is, look, I'm going to put out this song basically talking about effective communication between, activists and Black people. There's not only Black women who do this. There's Black men who have been doing the same kind of, not radical activism, but aggressive activism, to the point where it's almost like they're shaming their what's the word I'm looking for? They're like associates. And he assuming that, look, I'm going to put this song out, right? I'm going to talk about how you're really smart and you're doing like the best work possible. And my only like criticism is that you change your tone a little bit so that we can be more receptive to what you're saying. And then it's going to help all of our leaders as a whole, like, come together and say, look, man, if we just talk to people like in a way where we actually want to educate them, everything's going to be cool. And that shit backfired. And now we have this, where everyone's only talking about the fact that he's trying to police tone and that we don't have to be gentle or not upset with anybody. But like, why are you upset with me? Like, sure, you can be upset at Black men as a whole who've been doing people wrong, but don't be upset with me. I'm not the Black man that did you wrong.
Yeah, that's like I feel like it's just really unfortunate because, like, you've been talking about like misdirecting, and Denzel too, about misdirecting your anger and everything. And so I feel like he is the representation of men are trash, unfortunately. And I think what Black women, radicalists, are unfortunately failing to realize is that him telling Noname to tone down her voice does not mean that he's telling her to tone down her person, tone down her Blackness, turn down her womanhood, turn down her activism, turn down her passion. He's just literally saying, like, tone down your voice. And I think that because women for years have been feeling and have been oppressed and, everything like that, then it's like, it's like a trigger for to tell us, what do you mean calm down? I am calm, or I don't need to be calm. I've been calm for too long. I've been putting up with y'all for this, And so I think it was just kind of like a trigger, like we've been talking about, especially during this time where it's like, oh, so now you got something to say, and this is what you turn your mouth about. And so it's just kind of like unfortunate the way that everything kind of came together.
Yeah, I was gonna not even like tone down your voice. Well, yeah.
Change your tone. It wasn't tone down, but change your tone.
Exactly.
And just change it in a way where it's more effective.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
same thing. I'm not against anything that you're saying. In fact, I love what you're saying. But probably say it this way. That's my request, because it might have the effect that both you and I want. I'm on your side, Queen. What?
It's funny because I always wonder if J. Cole took the perspective of a male activist, which honestly I really only think he took the perspective of a female activist because one, they do more in the community, and two, kind of to address Noname, and then three, because he wanted to try to uplift Black women, and it backfired miserably because he called her intelligent, called her a queen, said, I agree with everything you're saying, I'm not doing enough, but can you please just change your tone when you're talking to me like that so that like we can be on the same level, we can be more gentle with each other. People were like, nah, bro, like you're doing the worst. This is the worst I ever heard. Like, I think like if he took the perspective of like a male activist and said, look, like you're saying everything right, but just change your tone because, we're brothers and, like we got to be gentle with each other and we got to educate each other because especially growing up in like the hood and growing up in certain areas, people are too hyper aggressive and over masculinity, and it's just like everyone's ready to fight as soon as they feel any sign of disrespect, you know. And if he took that tone, this would be a completely different conversation.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me. Like, I don't think that it's fair that just because you critique me, and it's like, it's not like it would be different if he was like critiquing her womanhood or her blackness. But like, it's like if a white person, you know, if I'm eating out at a restaurant and I don't pay and I try to do dine and dash and I get caught by like the white server or the white manager and they come to me, I can't tell them that they're racist just because they're correcting me. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Even though it is talking about activism, he wasn't talking about her being an activist as a Black woman. He was talking about the way that she...
Her activism, period.
Yeah.
That's
like, it's crazy like how people associate. The funny thing is, like, J. Cole never said anything in this entire song about, she said she's mad at these crackers, she mad at the Catholics, she mad at these murder police, she mad at some rappers like me, something like that, right? Not once did he mention her being a woman. I mean, he's mentioned her, but that's about it. He said her. The only pronoun he used in that song was her and queen. He used those two, and people called him misogynist because he said he didn't like her tone. But just because you tell a girl, a Black woman, you don't like her tone, doesn't make you a misogynist. You can be rude. Like, you can be rude. People are rude. Black women, I don't want to say it, but a lot of Black women are inherently rude. And it's true. and not, because like, honestly, a lot of them are honest, and it's shitty because I don't want to generalize. But tell me I'm lying. Tell me that you haven't had. I guess it's different for Black girls. A lot of Black in perspective. Me growing up
are inherently,
and me being bullied. The people who bullied me. What'd you say?
Go ahead.
I said, me growing up and like the experiences I went through with people of all colors in my school, the majority of people who bullied me were Black kids. The majority of those Black kids were, when I was in younger grades, Black girls, and then Black guys. Like, not once. I don't think a white girl in my school ever said anything rude to me just because they were being rude. Like, unless I got into an argument or something. Like, and I'm not saying that all Black women are rude or stuff like that, but they have, I don't want to say a stereotype, but they have a
defensiveness.
What? There's like a defensiveness there, which stems from a lot of stuff that they go through with Black men, and then that they went through with their mothers because their mothers went through it with Black men. Which is understandable, but like I said, the misdirecting the anger at the Black men that wronged you and the Black woman that wronged you because the Black man wronged her. And now I'm getting the brunt of it. I'm getting the brunt of this defensive nature that you've been putting up your whole life. And then it gives everyone this stereotype. And people are always like, well, they shouldn't have this stereotype. But I'm like, yeah, but we also shouldn't be misdirecting our anger who it shouldn't be. We can go through traumatic experiences and become better. Not saying that you should, and not saying that it's not okay to hurt and to become defensive because of it. We can improve. And if you don't want to actively make the change to improve, if you think that me saying, yo, you're being kind of rude right now, I think you should just change how you're saying that a little bit so you're nicer, means that I'm trying to put you down, then it's like you're never going to grow. And that's what I think you said it, Denzel, when you were just like, yeah, like if you're trying to be an effective communicator and someone says, yo, look, you got to change your tone, you're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool, keep talking, but be prepared to have a lot of people listen to you because of your tone. Same with Christianity. If we're going out and we're trying to evangelize and advocate, bro, I'm not going to come to someone all hyper aggressive and be like, yo, listen, bro, like if you don't come to God right now, you're going to go to hell. Like, what? Like, who's going to listen to you? Like, it's fun. So last Easter, I went to not this Easter because everything was shut, but the one after before, I went to an Easter service with two of my friends from school, right? And we went with some other girls I go to my school with. And the preacher was talking, and you know everything was cool. And he said something which didn't really bother me, but it bothered my friend because he doesn't go to church much. And he basically said, he was like, yeah, like if you're having fun, he was like, we're gonna do our like due diligence like on earth, but if you're not going to, like, have as much fun as you can, because once your life's over, you're going to hell. Like basically he basically said that. My friend was like, okay. And after that, I could tell, like, after that, he shut down. He was not listening to anything he was saying. And I'm just like, there's no preachers that want to convey their message that way, because the last thing you want to do is try to sound like you're scaring or fear mongering. What's up, Jesse? We're taking a shot? Sure. Because like you don't want to come off like you're fear mongering or using scare tactics or anything like that, because you know people aren't going to be receptive to that. Right. You know that there's a more efficient way. If you approach it gently, if you try to relate to them and be like, look, this is what you like to do, or approach them in a loving way, like, look, Jesus loves you, and you know he wants you to know him on a personal level. He wants a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. That's how you're effective. Mm-hmm. You're not effective by saying, look, nigga, you're going to hell if you don't change. Yeah. Like, same concept with this. Like, you're not going to be effective. You're saying, well, just read a book. Like, you're just dumb. Like, why haven't you read up on this? That's like, imagine going to some, like, maybe
you don't understand systemic oppression? What have you been?
Like, where have you been that you don't understand this oppression that's been going on in society? You're dumb. You should go read, nigga. Google is free. Yeah, like, exactly. Shut up. Google is free. The internet ain't free, so Google ain't free. Like, damn. It just makes me so mad because it's just like, why? Exactly. What is this? Oh. What is this? Oh. So yeah, like it's my friend Denzel and Jamila, that's his wife. It's our roommate Jesse.
What's good, homie?
This is what we do. This is grad school. We study and take shots and talk about life.
Okay.
But yeah, so
the irony of he's in the middle of talking about evangelism.
It's funny.
Hold on.
I was using this example.
We hear drink
because
listen, Jesus drank Brian. He didn't take shots.
Okay.
Look, Jesus turned water to wine, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, so that's basically my big problem with it is just like we all know with any lesson you're trying to teach. Even like I used this example because I was talking about this with Jesse earlier. We had this professor, his name is Dr. Lozano. He shouldn't really be teaching PT school, but he does. He's a surgeon, and he teaches like our anatomy class for like the first and second trimester, right? Mm-hmm. And he was one of those people who would be like, you know, like this is how you study, and if you don't study, don't be mad at me if you fail, because this is how you're supposed to do it. Like one of those. And he'd ask us a lot of ridiculous questions that had nothing to do with our field because he was a surgeon, so he would try to relate stuff back to that. Like, but if they have a surgery here, and I'm like, well, nigga, I'm not cutting people, so you know, it's not gonna be me. So people used to shut down a lot during his lectures because when he would talk about previous questions on tests or something that we got wrong, he would be like, well, if you studied this, you would know that if you know that this attaches here, so you know it couldn't be this answer. And like he would just say it in the tone, even though what he was saying was correct, that everyone would be like, look, I don't want to listen to him anymore. He's rude. Mm-hmm. And like, he's not dumb. He knows what he's talking about. There's people he got to who he was effective with because people still listened regardless of the condescending comments. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people shut down and didn't listen to him, even though what he was trying to convey to us, what he was trying to relay was correct. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that applies for every situation. If you don't say something the right way, it's not going to come off effectively. And I don't understand, regardless if you're a brown woman, a green woman, whatever, that how that could be considered either misogynistic or tone policing to tell someone that there's a more effective way to get your message across.
Exactly. And that is actually...
I feel like I keep repeating the same thing.
No, you're good. I feel like that's like the horse that we had to beat dead, because like that was the main thing. But yeah, like I guess just to like wrap it up, mm-hmm. Like I said, we love Black women, all of us over here.
And I just want to say, mm-hmm. I actually
David. David's my mentions. Oh,
I just want to say that I really love Noname. I really love Noname, and I really love J. Cole.
I like her music.
This is just a stupid thing that I feel like. I honestly wonder if Noname even like was really, really hurt by it. She might have been. I have no idea. But like, I wonder how she's taking everything too, because I feel like everything was just blown out of proportion. They're both great artists, and everybody just needs to respect each other because we all in this together.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Imagine.
not she'll respond if she responds at all.
She hasn't tweeted anything in the last 2 days, so
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thanks all of y'all for watching. This
just cut the part out with the shot.
That's gonna be in the full version. I'm gonna cut this up into like a short version. We're gonna keep the full version. So
I know you took your shirt off. You took a shirt.
Yeah, I got comfortable. Like I live in Texas. It's hot.
Yeah,
I took the aesthetic, and then I started sweating when I got serious.
Y'all be sure to check out Caleb on the INFP deep dive video as well. He's on there. We go way back, but yeah, yo, Caleb, thanks for weighing in. David, thank you also. You're watching the premiere, I'm assuming, in the future right now. Thanks for weighing in with your devil's advocacy and devil's indeed. I'm kidding. And yeah, for all of y'all who have thoughts on this,
And thank me.
of course, absolutely.
Jamila's input should have came in like an hour earlier, but you know.
Yeah, I was wondering like if she was gonna say something, but like I felt like David just really wanted to like put in his points before he hopped off. Yeah. And like I said, I still don't know where he stands.
David feels like
David, we know where David stands. He likes to play devil's advocate, but he knows deep down inside we're right.
Yeah, he's on our side. Everything that he retweets on Twitter is about how everybody's stupid, and J. Cole was saying this, and that.
Yeah, he just wanted to repeat everything that he saw on Twitter.
Kind
so
of.
Wait, let me finish my research, my devil's advocate research before I hop on. I was like, oh great.
So funny.
Something.
Still, as many points as he made, I still don't understand the argument. Like like I said, timing fit really. The timing and the climate, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Of like what we're going through.
Yeah. But other than that, it's like,
I think J. Cole's
just
biggest flaw is believing that people would actually be receptive. It's just kind of funny because he really made an example of himself. He said, listen, your tone isn't working. This is what you should do with the best tone possible. And niggas still didn't listen because it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
It's just bottom line that people don't want to hear your message initially because of your tone. Like, just like, you know.
Don't bother trying to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That's kind of what it is. But I'm glad that he had
the bar
there, and I'm glad that he stuck to it. I'm glad that he said, like, yo, I'm not taking it back. Like, this is real. Like, you know, so that's how I feel, and it's not just because I'm a diehard J. Cole fan, but it's the reason why I even like J. Cole so much is because of who he is as a person from what we see. And so that's why I could trust and I could back this up. Like, yo, like, he is for us in that way. So, yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and end the recording right here. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and done.